Hello, welcome to Here We Go. In this video, let's continue our discussion on how to avoid complicated Josekis at the beginning. So today, let's move on to the one-space approach to the 3-4 point. I'm going to talk about how to avoid complicated sequences by choosing very simple Josekis. Well, not as simple as the previous ones, but still relatively simple and straightforward and easy to understand. So if you're white and your opponent approaches at number 5, you should play here, right? So white's number 6 has many choices, but playing here at the 3-5 point is a very simple way of settling the shape here on the corner. I think Michael Redmond calls this a first Joseki to learn, and I agree. It is a very good one to learn for both sides. The variation in this video looks something like this. Black can play here or here. Either is fine. So this is the sequence that you should remember at the end of this video. And now I will explain why we have this sequence. White's number 6 really wants the corner. That's its goal, right? Because white's number 6 can play the pincer. Something like this, right? You can pincer black, and black will come into the corner like this, right? So these will lead to more complicated variations that we'll cover later in this chapter. But now, white is saying, I want this corner. And black can't really come in, right? If black 7 plays here, then this is a very bad move for black, because what white can do is to cut off black. Now black will try to seek to live inside this corner. And all white needs to do is to extend here. Now, number 5 is being cut off and very helpless here on the outside. And 7 and 9 occupies the corner, but it still needs extra moves in order to live. Like this. Now it's still not alive, but of course, here's a cutting point that white needs to address. So white can play here. And eventually, black will have to live like this. And this is terrible for black because these 6 stones only have about 5 points if you take into consideration of the life and death implications on the corner. And now white has a very solid shape on the outside. If black tries to save number 5, then most likely it will be under attack immediately. So this is a very bad variation for black. Even if white allows black to live more comfortably like this, this is still very bad for black because once again, you have all these stones surrounding about 10 points on the corner, and white has very solid potential on the outside, towards the center, towards the lower side, and on the upper side. So this is not acceptable for black. All that is to say, once white's placed at number 6, black cannot come into the corner. The corner is basically white's, right? So what does black get? Black can either get the side or some outside potential, right? So that's why it's a trade-off. All Josekis are acceptable to both sides because it is a trade-off. So now white will get the corner territory and black will get something else. So the only viable moves for black right now is A and B. There's no other moves for black. If you're black, you have to take notes, A or B. Let's cover A in this video and we'll go over B in the next video. So A is slightly better than B. So black can only play here. Let's show a couple other wrong moves for black's number 7, right? If black 7 plays something like this, right, then if you're white, you should just continue to crawl here on the 3rd line. You're solidifying the corner, and black is not gaining much by letting you crawl on the side, right? If it plays here, then white should play this. So black's shape is still incomplete, right? It might want to seal off white from this side, but then white can play something like this. It's a corner closer that diminishes black's potential on the left side. And black doesn't really have any potential on the upper side. So this is bad for black. Black should not extend here and should play this bend instead. If black plays farther away, then similarly, white should just extend and play this, or just play the start point right here. These are all very solid moves for white, and black's shape is not great. So black should avoid these wrong moves. If black plays here, then similarly, white occupies the start point, something like this. So all of these are bad for black. So black's number 7 can only be here or here. So black plays here. Now, obviously, if white plays elsewhere, black can Atari and cut off white's number 6, right? So white will extend and go back. So now 4, 6, and 8 are all connected, and the corner is very secure. Black cannot come in and make a living shape. So after 8, black has a cutting point. So in some older Joseki books, you're going to see moves that suggest that black can play elsewhere now, and that is totally wrong, right? Because this cutting move is very big, very, very big for white, right? If white can play something like this, it cuts off number 5, and black still needs to play here. This is very big for white. So black cannot afford to allow white to cut off number 5. This is a very big move. So now the Joseki is to play this, right? It's to connect right here. This is probably the only Joseki left. You're gonna see this move as well, this tiger's mouth, in some older Joseki books. And then white might play here, but white really doesn't have to play here if it's number 9. But the books will have white play at number 10 right here, and then black will extend, something like this. Or black does an exchange here first and then extend. You're gonna see all these variations, but this one is outdated, really, because black just has more weaknesses in this shape. White can come in like this, and this will lead to a fight and more complicated variations. But it's not good for black, right? If white can come in and start complicated variations. Black wants to keep it simple. So all that was to say, black should really connect here, right? Not this tiger's mouth. Black should connect here. And now what's happening is that black has potential here on the left side, but also black can seal white in, right? So if, let's say, if white plays here on the left side, what black can do is to play this and kind of keep white here on the second line. So this is not ideal for white, right? This is not ideal for white because black's potential is toward the center and toward the upper side now. So white cannot be 100% satisfied with this shape. So what white wants to do now is to play this one space extension on the side. So it's giving it some influence on the upper side. And now black can extend, can do a 3 space extension, either on the 3rd line or on the 4th line. Either is fine. In this case, it can do an extension on the 3rd line because this is white's part of the board. If number 2 is a black stone, then maybe playing here on the 4th line is better for black. So it depends on what's going on elsewhere on the board. Black can play a 3 space extension. So what does this 3 space extension mean? It's important to understand that this doesn't mean that black has these 6 or maybe 9 points of territory. That's not what this is, although it's easy to understand it that way. What number 11 means is that black has established some kind of influence here on the left side. Of course, if all goes well, if white doesn't challenge black for this space, then this will become black's territory, which will be enough to make a living shape, right? Because this is quite spacious. Black, you can say, is basically alive. It doesn't have to worry about being attacked by white. But if in the future, whites come in here, what black will do is to just trade the territory for some potential on the outside. So black is still doing fine. So it doesn't mean the territory is guaranteed. It just means black temporarily has a good shape, and it can trade this territory for potential on the outside. So that's what number 11 means. It's all about the influence and the possibilities arising out of this pattern. So that's the first Joseki stemming from black's number 5 and white's number 6. Of course, white's corner here is very, very solid. Black cannot come in and try to live. So subsequently, black might have this exchange, right? Because this is threatening to cut white here and do something on the corner, so white will have to connect. Or black, you might see black play something like this, or even this, something like this, to kind of keep white's low on the side and expand its own influence toward the center. But the main takeaway in this video, of course, is this pattern, is this whole sequence, and understanding why each side made each move. In our next lesson, we will learn about how to respond to black's number 7 here, which is a slightly worse off move for black. White will still have a simple strategy for protecting the corner and keep things simple. Thank you for watching.